How does a Father's Day dinner turn into a financial reckoning before midnight? My kids skipped me all evening, showed up late asking for money, and spoke like I was a forgotten option. They finished talking before I calmly told them what I had already put in motion hours earlier. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. The chicken was cold by 7. The mashed potatoes had formed that thin film you only see when food sits too long. I'd set 3 plates on my small kitchen table, folded paper napkins beside each one, poured water into mismatched glasses. The apartment smelled like rosemary and butter. Outside my window, the June sun was still hanging on, painting everything gold. My phone sat face up beside my plate. No missed calls. 3 messages, all read. The blue checkmarks mocked me. Still coming, Dad. Running late. Love you. That was from my daughter at 4:30. My son had sent a thumbs-up emoji at 5. Nothing since. I walked to the balcony and lit a smoke. The parking lot below was half empty. Sunday evening in a working neighborhood. Families finishing dinners together. Fathers getting ties they'd never wear. Coffee mugs with jokes printed on them. My gift was sitting in the living room, still wrapped. A watch I couldn't afford but bought anyway because my daughter mentioned it once, 3 months back, in passing. The tire shop where I work had been slow lately. Fewer people replacing worn treads, more people riding on prayers and duct tape. My boss, Kent, had cut my hours twice this spring. I was still making rent, still eating, but the margins were tighter than they used to be. I checked my phone again. Nothing. Social media was a mistake, but I opened it anyway. My daughter's story showed a rooftop bar downtown, string lights, cocktails with fruit on the rim, her laugh in a video, head thrown back, arm around someone I didn't recognize. Posted 20 minutes ago. I closed the app, stubbed out my smoke, went back inside. The table looked sad now. Sad in a way that made my chest tighten. I'd done this before. Birthdays, Christmases, Thanksgivings. Set the table, cooked the food, waited. They'd show up late or not at all, always with reasons that sounded good enough in the moment. Traffic, work, friends needed them. I never argued, never guilt-tripped, just packed up the leftovers and told them it was fine. It was always fine. I sat down at my place and ate alone. The chicken tasted like nothing. I chewed because that's what you do. My phone stayed silent. The kitchen clock ticked past 8, then 9, then 10. At 11:15, I cleared the table, wrapped their plates in foil, stacked them in the fridge where they'd sit until I threw them out next week. I washed my dish, dried it, put it away. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of someone's television through the wall. I went to the balcony again. The parking lot was nearly empty now, streetlights buzzing, a cat moving between shadows. Midnight was 13 minutes away when my phone finally buzzed. The message was from my son. "Hey, Dad, you still up?" I stared at the screen, didn't respond right away, let him see the 3 dots, let him wait. Then I typed back, "Yes." 3 dots appeared on his end, disappeared, appeared again. "Can we come by? Need to talk." We? Me and Mel. Mel, my daughter, Melody. 23 years old, still figuring out what she wanted to be when she grew up, still convinced the world owed her space to figure it out. "It's late," I wrote. "I know, it's important." I looked at the cold dinner in the fridge, the wrapped gift on the couch, the hours I'd spent waiting. "Okay," I sent back. They showed up 38 minutes later. I heard them in the hallway first, voices low but not quiet enough. My son's laugh, my daughter shushing him. The knock was casual, 3 quick raps like they were stopping by any other night. I opened the door. They walked in without waiting for an invitation. "Hey, Dad." My son, Trey, 26, tall and broad-shouldered like his grandfather. He was wearing a shirt that probably cost more than my work boots, smelled like cologne and beer. Hi, Daddy. Melody kissed my cheek. Her makeup was perfect, hair curled. She looked like she'd been somewhere important. Long day? I asked. Trey dropped onto my couch. Yeah, crazy day. Work stuff. You know how it is. I didn't know. Trey worked in sales for a tech company I'd never heard of. He'd explained it to me once, used words like synergy and disruption. I'd nodded and smiled and understood nothing. You want something to drink? I asked. Nah, we're good. Melody sat beside her brother. We can't stay long. I stayed standing, leaned against the kitchen counter. Watched them settle in like they owned the space. How was your day? I asked. They exchanged a glance, quick, practiced. Good, Melody said. Busy. Father's Day dinner? I kept my voice even. Trey had the decency to look uncomfortable. Yeah, sorry about that. Something came up last minute. Work thing, Melody added. Couldn't get out of it. I nodded slowly. Didn't mention the rooftop bar. Didn't mention the 9 hours I'd waited. Just nodded. So what did you need to talk about? Another glance between them. Trey leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Look, Dad, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm in a tight spot financially. I waited. There's this opportunity at work. Big opportunity. But I need to front some money for training materials, certification courses. It's like an investment in my future, you know? And the thing is, it's due by Tuesday. How much? 3,000. The number sat in the air between us. $3,000, half my monthly income before taxes. And my car needs work, Melody jumped in. The transmission's acting weird. Mechanic said it could go any day. I can't lose my car, Dad. I need it for work. I thought you worked from home. She blinked. I do, but I still need to go places, meetings, client visits. How much? 1,200. Maybe 15 if they find other stuff. I did the math in my head. 4,000, maybe more. Money I didn't have. Money I'd need to pull from savings I'd been building for 2 years. Savings for when Kent finally cut my hours to nothing, for when my knees gave out and I couldn't crouch beside tires anymore. That's a lot, I said quietly. We know. Trey stood up, walked toward me, put his hand on my shoulder. We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. You know that. I looked at his hand, looked at his face, saw sincerity there, or something that looked like it. When do you need it? Tomorrow would be ideal. Tuesday at the latest. I nodded again. Melody was watching me with those big eyes she'd used since she was 6. The eyes that got her out of trouble, got her extensions on deadlines, got her everything she ever wanted. Let me think about it, I said. Trey's hand tightened on my shoulder. Dad, come on. We need an answer. And I said I'll think about it. The room went quiet. They weren't used to this. I was the yes man, the safety net, the fallback option when their plans fell through. Seriously? Melody's voice had an edge now. We're your kids. I know who you are. Then why are you making this difficult? I looked at her. Really looked. Saw the designer bag on her shoulder, the new phone in her hand, the nails that cost more than my weekly groceries. I'm not making anything difficult, I'm thinking. Trey pulled his hand back. Fine, think. But we need to know tomorrow. You'll know when I'm ready to tell you. They left 12 minutes later. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't say Happy Father's Day. Just walked out, voices rising before they hit the stairs. I locked the door behind them, stood in the silence. Then I pulled out my phone and made a call I should have made years ago. Monday morning came cold and gray. I was up at 5, like always, coffee made before the sun thought about rising. My work clothes were laid out on the chair, jeans with permanent grease stains, company shirt with my name embroidered over the pocket. Jace. The tire shop opened at 7. I was there by 6:30, unlocking the bay doors, flipping on the overhead lights. The smell of rubber and oil was as familiar as my own breath. Kent's truck pulled in at 6:45. "Early again?" he said, climbing out with his travel mug. "Couldn't sleep." He studied me for a moment. Kent had known me for 11 years, hired me when I was desperate, kept me on when times got lean, never once made me feel small for working with my hands. "Everything all right?" "Yeah." He didn't push. That was Kent's way. He walked into the office, started the computer, began the day. The first customer showed up at 7:12, woman with a minivan, 2 kids in the back watching tablets. She needed an alignment and a tire rotation. Simple work. I got her checked in, pulled the van into the bay, started the lift. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Text from Trey. "So what's the verdict?" I didn't respond. Got the van up, checked the treads, started pulling wheels. The work was mechanical, mindless. My hands knew what to do without my brain's input. That's what happens after 26 years in the business. Another buzz. Melody this time. "Dad, seriously, we need to know." I finished the rotation, lowered the van, moved to the next car. A sedan with a slow leak in the rear driver's side. Found the nail, patched it, balanced the wheel. The morning rolled forward. Customers came and went. Kent handled the register while I handled the work. At 10:30, during my break, I sat in the cramped back room with lukewarm coffee and my phone. 17 messages in the family group chat. Trey and Melody going back and forth, building their case, reminding me of all the times I'd helped before, pointing out how much I loved them, how family helps family. I scrolled through the history, 3 years of messages, requests for money, favors, cosigns. My response is always the same. Yes. Okay, I'll figure it out. There was a pattern there. Clear as day once you stopped being inside it. Kent poked his head in. "Got a truck out front. Needs 4 new tires. You good?" "Yeah." I pocketed my phone. Got back to work. Lunch was a sandwich from the gas station across the street. I ate it in my truck, windows down, radio off. The bank was 3 blocks away. I could see it from where I was parked. Modern building, glass front, air conditioning that worked. I'd been banking there for 16 years, opened my account when my kids were small, when their mother and I still pretended the marriage might work. Added them as authorized users when they turned 18. Thought I was teaching them responsibility. Thought I was showing them trust. I checked my account on my phone. The app showed my balance, the transaction history. Withdrawals I didn't make, transfers I didn't authorize. Small amounts, never enough to worry about. 20 here, 50 there, coffee money, gas money, emergency money that wasn't really emergencies. I closed the app, finished my sandwich, went back to work. At 4 o'clock, my phone rang. Not a text, an actual call. My daughter's name on the screen. I let it ring, once, twice, 3 times. Watched it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. I answered on the 4th ring. "Dad, why aren't you responding?" "I'm at work." "It's 4 o'clock. You're off at 4. I'm still here." Silence on her end. Then, "Have you thought about it?" "Yes." "And?" "I need to talk to you both in person." "Dad, come on, just tell me now." "In person." "Fine." "When?" "Tomorrow. 9 a.m. 9? I don't get up that early." "Then set an alarm." I hung up before she could respond. Kent was watching from the office window. He raised his eyebrows. I shrugged. The rest of the shift was quiet. 2 more tire changes, 1 brake inspection, 1 rotation. I cleaned my tools, swept the bay, locked up at 6. Kent was still in the office, doing paperwork. "Hey, Jace." I stopped at the door. "Yeah? You sure you're all right?" I thought about the question. Really thought about it. "I will be." He nodded slowly. "Okay. See you tomorrow." I drove home through rush hour traffic, stopped at the convenience store on the corner, bought a folder, a pack of pens, a notebook. The cashier was a kid, maybe 19, scrolling his phone between customers. Back at my apartment, I spread everything on the kitchen table, pulled up my bank statements on my laptop, started printing, transaction by transaction, month by month. The printer was old, loud, slow. It didn't matter. I worked through dinner, made notes in the margins, highlighted patterns, calculated totals. The numbers were worse than I'd thought. Over 3 years, nearly $18,000, taken without asking, assumed without permission. At 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. Another message from Trey. What time tomorrow? 9 a.m., Bank of America on Maple Street. The bank? Why the bank? You'll see. No response after that. I kept working, organized everything into the folder, made a checklist, checked it twice. At midnight, I finally stopped, sat back in my chair, looked at 3 years of trust turned into transaction records. My phone lit up one more time. Melody. This is weird, Dad. What's going on? I typed back, slowly, deliberately. You wanted an answer? You'll get one tomorrow. Then I turned off my phone. Went to bed. Slept better than I had in months. I woke up at 5:30 without an alarm. The apartment was dark and still. I made coffee, scrambled 2 eggs, ate standing at the counter. My folder was on the table where I'd left it, corners neat, contents organized. At 6:15, I called the bank. The automated system put me through to customer service. A woman named Patricia answered, voice bright and professional. I need to revoke authorized user access on my account, I said. Of course, sir. May I have your account number? I read it from my statement, heard keys clicking on her end. And the names of the users you'd like to remove? Trey Arneal and Melody Arneal. Relationship to you? My children. More clicking, a pause. All right, Mr. Arneal. I can process that for you. The changes will be effective immediately, but I'll need you to come in and sign some paperwork to make it official. I'll be there at 8:30. Perfect. Ask for Patricia when you arrive. I hung up, drank my coffee. Showered, shaved, dressed in my good jeans and a button-down shirt I saved for occasions. Looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. 47 years old, gray at the temples, lines around my eyes from squinting at tire pressure gauges. Hands that would never look clean no matter how hard I scrubbed. I looked like a man who worked for a living, a man who kept his word, a man who'd been taken for granted so long he'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. At 7:45, I left my apartment. The bank was a 12-minute drive. I got there at 8, parked in the lot, waited in my truck, watched people going in and out, young professionals with briefcases, retirees with walkers, a mom with 3 kids in tow. At 8:25, I walked in. The lobby was cool, quiet except for soft music playing overhead. Patricia was at the first desk, exactly like she'd sounded on the phone. Blonde, mid-40s, smile that reached her eyes. Mr. Arneal? Yes, ma'am. Right this way. She led me to a small office, closed the door. The paperwork was already printed, waiting in a neat stack. She walked me through it. Signature here, initials there. Confirm your understanding of what this means. Just so we're clear, she said gently, once you sign this, your children will no longer have any access to your account. They won't be able to withdraw funds, check balances, or make transfers. I understand. And they'll be notified by mail within 3 business days. That's fine. She slid the papers across. I signed everywhere she indicated. My handwriting was steady. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Patricia asked. Yes, I need to set up alerts. Every transaction, every login attempt. I want to know immediately. Absolutely. Let me get that configured for you. She turned to her computer. I sat back in my chair, felt something loosen in my chest, something that had been tight for years. At 8:58, I walked back into the lobby. Trey and Melody were coming through the front door. They spotted me immediately. My son frowned. My daughter looked confused. Dad? Trey walked over. What are we doing here? Follow me. I led them to the sitting area near the window. 4 chairs around a low table. We sat. They looked at each other, then at me. So, Melody crossed her arms, are you going to help us or not? I pulled the folder from under my arm, set it on the table between us, opened it slowly. I want to show you something first. The papers were organized chronologically. I'd used colored tabs to mark different categories: green for unauthorized withdrawals, yellow for transfers, red for overdraft fees I'd paid because their transactions came through first. I turned the folder so they could see. Started with January 3 years ago. This is a $20 withdrawal from the ATM on 5th Street. You took it on a Tuesday, Trey. I was at work. Didn't know until I checked my balance that night. Trey glanced at the paper. So? $20. This is $50. Melody. Same week. Target parking lot. I flipped to the next page, and the next, and the next. Months of small transactions. Coffee, gas, groceries, clothes, concert tickets, bar tabs. Individually, none of this seemed like a big deal, I said quietly. But together? I pulled out the summary sheet, the one with the total at the bottom, highlighted in red. Melody leaned forward, read the number, went pale. $18,000, I said. Over 3 years, taken from my account without asking. We're authorized users, Trey said. You gave us access. I gave you access for emergencies. These were emergencies. A concert ticket is not an emergency. He sat back, jaw tight. So what? You're mad about helping your kids? I'm not mad about helping. I'm tired of being used. The word hung in the air. Melody looked away. Trey's face hardened. Used, he repeated. That's what you think of us? I think you call when you need something. I think you forget I exist until your checking account runs low. I think you promised to come for Father's Day and spent the evening at a rooftop bar instead. Melody flinched. You saw that? I saw everything. I always see everything. I just never said anything before. So you're punishing us now? Her voice cracked. Because we forgot one dinner? It wasn't one dinner. It was 3 years of dinners, birthdays, holidays, every occasion where I didn't matter until you needed something. Trey stood up. This is ridiculous. We're your kids. You're supposed to help us. I did help you. I helped until I had nothing left to give, and you took it like it was owed to you. It is owed to us. You're our father. I looked up at him, saw his mother in his eyes, the same certainty, the same inability to see past his own needs. Being your father doesn't make me your bank account. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at his sister. She was staring at the papers, eyes wet. I pulled out the next document, the form I'd signed an hour ago. As of this morning, you no longer have access to my account. You'll receive official notification in the mail, but I'm telling you now, it's done. Silence, complete and absolute. I could hear the ventilation system, someone typing at a desk across the lobby, my own heartbeat. You're serious, Melody whispered. Yes. Because of money? Because of respect. Trey laughed, sharp and bitter. Respect, that's rich coming from a guy who changes tires for a living. I felt the words land, felt them try to find a soft spot. They didn't. I change tires, I fix flats, I rotate wheels, and I do it honestly. Can you say the same about what you do? His face went red. At least I have a real career. Do you? Or do you have a title and debt and no idea how to live within your means? Screw this. He grabbed his keys from his pocket. Come on, Mel. But Melody didn't move. She was looking at the papers still, at the numbers, at 3 years of taking without seeing. Mel? Trey said again. You really counted it all, she said softly. Every transaction. Yes. Even the small stuff. Especially the small stuff. That's where it starts. Small things you don't think matter, until they add up to everything. She wiped her eyes, smudged her makeup. I didn't know. You didn't ask. Trey grabbed her arm. Let's go. This time she stood. Let him pull her toward the door. They were halfway across the lobby when she turned back. What about the money we need now? Her voice was small. The car, Trey's courses. I closed the folder, folded my hands on top of it. Figure it out. Dad. The same way everyone else does. Budget, save, make choices. We can't. You can. You just never had to before. Trey said something I didn't catch, pulled her through the door. They disappeared into the parking lot. Through the window, I watched them argue beside Trey's car, watched Melody cover her face, watched Trey throw his hands up. Then they drove away. I sat in the quiet bank lobby for another 10 minutes. Patricia walked by, gave me a small smile. I nodded back. My phone was in my pocket. Silent. I'd turned off notifications before I left home. Didn't need to see the messages I knew would be coming. At 9:30 I stood up, tucked the folder under my arm, walked out into the June morning. The sun was bright, traffic was moving. The world kept turning like nothing had happened. But something had happened. I got in my truck, drove to work. Kent was in the bay under a Honda changing brake pads. "Morning," he called out. "Morning. You okay?" I thought about the question, about my kids driving away, about the access I'd revoked, about the money I'd stopped giving, about the respect I'd finally demanded. "Yeah," I said. "I'm okay." And for the first time in years, I meant it. Work was work, routine, predictable. A sedan needed new tires, a truck needed alignment, an SUV needed a full inspection before a road trip. I worked through lunch, hands moving on muscle memory, mind quiet. My phone stayed in my locker. I didn't need to look to know what was there. Texts, calls, voicemails, maybe their mother getting involved, maybe friends they'd complained to, didn't matter. Kent ordered pizza for the crew at 2. We ate in the bay, grease and cheese, talking about nothing important. Sports, weather, someone's boat that wouldn't start. Normal conversation. The kind where nobody wants money. "You seem different today," Kent said. "Different how?" "Lighter." I wiped my hands on a paper towel. "Maybe I am." He didn't push for details. That was Kent. Saw everything, asked nothing, kept the shop running smooth. At 4, I clocked out. Grabbed my phone from my locker. 43 notifications. I scrolled through without opening them. Trey, Melody, their mother, a number I didn't recognize. Same themes over and over. Disbelief, anger, guilt trips. I deleted them all, every single one. Drove home through traffic, stopped at the grocery store, bought ingredients for a real dinner, steak, potatoes, green beans, a bottle of beer I'd drink with my meal because I wanted to, not because I was drowning anything. At home, I cooked, took my time, seasoned the steak right, roasted the potatoes until they were crispy. The apartment smelled good, felt good, just me and the sizzle of butter in a pan. I ate at the table, 1 plate, 1 glass, no waiting, no checking my phone, no wondering if anyone would show up. After dinner, I cleaned up, washed dishes by hand, dried them, put them away, wiped down the counters, the simple rhythm of taking care of my own space. The knock came at 7:15. I knew who it was before I opened the door. Heard the voices in the hall, Trey and Melody, together again. I opened up. They looked different than this morning. Tired. Melody's eyes were red. Trey's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jump. "Can we come in?" Melody asked. I stepped aside. They entered slowly. Didn't sit. Stood in my living room like strangers. "We talked," Trey started. "Me and Mel. We talked a lot." I waited. "And we think you're overreacting." I almost laughed. Almost. "Overreacting?" "Yeah. Look, we get it. We should have come for Father's Day. That was wrong. But cutting us off completely? That's extreme." "Is it?" "Yes." Melody stepped forward. "We're family. You don't just abandon family." I'm not abandoning you. I'm setting boundaries. By taking away our access to your account? By taking back control of my money? Trey shook his head. This is because Mom left, isn't it? You're still angry about that. Their mother. Haven't thought about her in months. She'd left when the kids were in high school. Decided marriage wasn't for her. Motherhood wasn't for her. Responsibility wasn't for her. Last I heard, she was in Arizona with a man who sold essential oils. This has nothing to do with your mother. Then what? Melody's voice rose. What is this about? We said we were sorry. You said the words, but you don't mean them. You're not sorry for taking. You're sorry you got caught. That's not fair. Fair? I felt something shift inside me, something that had been dormant too long. You want to talk about fair? Fair is working 50 hours a week so you could have what you needed. Fair is saying yes every time you called, even when I didn't have enough for myself. Fair is waiting 9 hours on Father's Day while you partied downtown. We explained that, Trey said. You lied about that. Work thing, emergency. Neither of you work on Sundays. Melody looked at the floor. Trey's face went hard. So what now? He asked. You're just done with us? I'm done being used. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with respect. Not when you need something, all the time. And if we don't agree? I met his eyes, saw the challenge there, the assumption that I'd fold, that I always folded. Then I guess we're done. The words came out calm, certain, final. Melody started crying, real tears this time. Dad, please. I'm not asking for much. Show up when you say you will. Talk to me like I matter. Stop treating me like an ATM. We don't. You do. You have for years. And I let you because I thought that's what fathers did. But I was wrong. Being a father doesn't mean being a doormat. Trey grabbed Melody's arm. Come on, he's not listening. I'm listening fine, I said. You're just not saying anything I haven't heard before. They left. Melody looked back once, face crumpled. Trey stared straight ahead. The door closed behind them. I heard their footsteps fade down the hall. I stood in the silence. Waited for regret to hit, for doubt, for the voice that would tell me I'd gone too far. It never came. Instead, I felt clear, clean. Like I'd been carrying weight I didn't know I had, and someone had finally lifted it off my shoulders. I picked up my phone, opened my banking app, changed my password, set up two-factor authentication, added spending alerts for anything over $10. Then I opened my contacts, found their mother's number, deleted it, found the numbers of her family, the ones who'd sided with her, who'd looked at me like I was the problem. Deleted those too. My contact list got shorter, cleaner, just the people who actually called. Kent, a few guys from work, the pizza place that delivered. I sat on the couch, turned on the TV, watched a show I'd been meaning to catch up on, didn't check my phone, didn't wait for anyone, just existed in my own space, on my own terms. At midnight, I went to bed, set my alarm for 5:30. Tomorrow was Tuesday. Another work day. Another chance to show up, do the job, earn my keep. I fell asleep thinking about tire rotations and alignment specs, simple problems, clear solutions, the best kind. Tuesday morning came quiet. No messages, no calls. The silence felt different now, not like being ignored, like the noise finally stopped. I showed up early at the shop. Kent was already in the supply room, counting boxes and scanning invoices. We worked side by side for a while, both of us focused on what was in front of us. For once, my head wasn't running behind the work, chasing somebody else's emergency. At 9:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Mr. Arneal? The voice was professional, calm, the way people sound when they're trained not to react. This is Derek Chen with Bank of America. I'm calling to confirm recent changes to your account. Okay. You removed 2 authorized users yesterday. We need to confirm it was intentional and not unauthorized activity. It was intentional. A pause. Keyboard clicks on his end. Thank you. And you're satisfied with those changes? Very. Understood. If anything else looks unusual, call the number on the back of your card. Have a good day, Mr. Arneal. He hung up. I didn't feel relief. I felt confirmation. Like the system finally heard me after years of me whispering. I slid the phone back into my pocket, rolled under a Chevy, and patched a tire like it was the most normal thing in the world. Maybe it was. Maybe the normal thing was simply doing my job while other adults handled their own problems. The morning kept moving. A sedan needed tires, a truck needed alignment, an SUV needed an inspection for a road trip. I worked through each one in order. No rush, no skipping steps, no trying to earn love by being useful. Around 11, Kent leaned against the tool cart while I balanced a wheel. You seem different, he said. Different how? Like you dropped something heavy. Like you're not carrying everybody today. I wiped my hands on a rag. I didn't tell him about the folder on my kitchen table, about the access I revoked, about the faces my kids made when the free ride ended. Maybe I did, I said. Kent nodded once. That was all. He saw things. He didn't poke at them. That's why the shop ran smooth. At lunch, he waved me into his office. I washed up, grabbed water, and sat across from him. He closed the door. I'm expanding, he said. Second location across town. Signed the lease last week. That's big, I said. It is, and I need someone I trust to help run it. I waited. You, Jace. I want you managing the new shop. For a second, I honestly thought he was messing with me. I blinked and stared at him like I didn't hear right. Me? Yeah, you. I took a slow breath. I'm a tire tech. You're the guy who trains everyone. You handle the difficult customers. You make decisions when I'm not here. You just never had the title. I didn't argue. Not because he was wrong, because I was tired of explaining why I deserved less than what I was already doing. What's the pay? I asked. He named a number. 30% more than I made now. Benefits, health, dental, and a retirement plan. It hit me in the chest, sharp and practical. That kind of money didn't buy happiness. It bought breathing room. It bought groceries without math. It bought medication without deciding what could wait. When do you need an answer? I asked. End of the week. I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was just strange. Talk it over with anyone you need to, Kent added. I looked at him and said nothing. There wasn't anyone to talk it over with who had ever talked things over with me. I'll think about it, I said. That's all I want. Back on the floor, I kept working, but the offer stayed in my head. Not as a fantasy, as a question. Why now? And the answer came easy. Because I finally stopped paying the price of being easy to use. At 3, my phone buzzed. A text from Melody. Can we talk? Just me and you? I stared at it longer than I needed to. I could ignore it. I could punish her with silence the way she punished me for years. But I wasn't doing this to punish anyone. I was doing it to stop the bleeding. When? I typed back. Tomorrow? Coffee? 7 a.m.? 4th Street Diner? That's early. That's when I'm available. A pause. 3 dots. Gone. Then, okay. I put the phone away and finished the shift. That night I ate alone and didn't feel sorry for myself. I cleaned up. I went to bed early. Alarm at 5:30. Work didn't care about family drama. Work cared if you showed up. Wednesday morning I got to the diner at 6:50. Black coffee. Booth by the window. Donna, the waitress, poured without asking. Meeting someone? She asked. Yeah. Good, she said, like it meant something. Then she walked away. Melody showed up at 7:12. I watched her in the parking lot, checking her face in the mirror before she stepped out. Old habit. Look perfect so nobody asks questions. She walked in wearing a hoodie and leggings, not her usual designer stuff. She looked smaller, not weak, just stripped down to real. She slid into the booth across from me, wrapped her hands around the mug Donna set down in front of her. "Thanks for meeting me," she said. "You asked. I came." She stared into her coffee for a moment. Then she said, "Trey doesn't know I'm here." "Okay. He's still mad. Says you embarrassed us. Says you had no right to cut us off. Says you're controlling." I took a sip of coffee. Let the words sit there, plain and ugly. "What do you think?" I asked. Her mouth tightened. "I think I've been a terrible daughter." I didn't rush to comfort her. I didn't argue. I didn't make it easier for her to say that. Some things shouldn't be smoothed over. "I looked at the papers again," she said. "After we left, I went home and really looked. The spending, the transfers. I remembered almost all of it. The dinners, trips, clothes. The emergencies that weren't emergencies." She swallowed hard. "I always told myself it was fine because you didn't stop us," she added. "You didn't yell. You didn't fight. So I thought, you must not care." "But I did care," I said. Her eyes watered. She blinked fast, trying not to cry. "What do you want from this conversation?" I asked. "Forgiveness," she said. "Or a chance. I don't know. I just know I'm sorry. And I mean it." I held her gaze, calm, not soft. "You have forgiveness," I said. "But you don't have access." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. "So where does that leave us?" "It leaves us with a choice," I said. "If you want me in your life, you don't call when you need something. You call because you want to talk. You show up when you say you will. You treat me like I matter even when you don't need a favor." She nodded slowly. "Trey won't change," she said. "He's too proud." "Then Trey picks his road," I said. "And he walks it." "And me?" I looked at her and saw both versions. The little girl who used to hand me drawings and the adult who learned to treat me like a function. "You're here," I said. "That's the first useful thing you've done for us in a while." She flinched, but she didn't argue. She deserved the truth more than she deserved comfort. "I need to get a real job," she said. "I need to stop living on credit and pretending it's a plan." "Yes," I said. "You do." She hesitated. "Will you help me?" "With advice," I said. "I'll help all day. With money? No." Her mouth trembled into a small, tired smile. "Fair." Outside the diner, she hugged me. It started awkward, then got tighter. Real. "I love you, Dad," she said. "I love you too," I said. "Don't promise me anything. Show me." She nodded and drove away. Thursday morning, Kent asked for my answer. "Yes," I said. He grinned like he'd been waiting for it. "Good. 2 weeks. We'll train your replacement. Then you move." We talked details, responsibilities, numbers. The new shop was smaller to start, 2 bays, but the plan was solid. Before I left, Kent added, "One more thing. I'm putting your name on it." I stared at him. "Why?" "Because customers trust you," he said. "Because you earned it." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't over-explain it. I just nodded. The next 2 weeks passed fast. Kent hired a kid named Liam, 22, eager, bright. I trained him the way I wished someone had trained me. Clear, honest, no games. How to check tread right, how to balance properly, how to talk to customers without pretending. On day 3, Liam asked, "Why'd you take the manager job?" "It was time," I said. "You been here long?" 11 years. "And you're just now moving up?" I looked at him, then back at the work. "I wasn't ready before," I said. "Now I am." Monday morning, I arrived at the new location before sunrise. 2 bays, fresh paint, clean floors, new lifts, new tools. The sign above the entrance read, "Arneal Tire and Auto." I stood in the lot and stared at it until the feeling in my throat settled. Not pride, not joy, something colder and cleaner. Proof. Inside, My office door had a small nameplate. Jace Arneal, manager. I unlocked the front door at 7, flipped the sign to open. First customer arrived 10 minutes later. Minivan, 2 kids in back, oil change, and rotation. "You're new," she said. "New place," I told her. "Not new work." She nodded like that was the only thing she cared about. By noon, I'd serviced 6 vehicles. By close, 12. For a first day, it was good, real. As I locked up, my phone buzzed. A text from Melody. "How was your first day?" "Busy." "Good. I'm proud of you, Dad." I stared at it. Then I typed the truth. "Thanks." That was all. No speech, no reunion, no pretending the past didn't happen. Weeks went by, the shop stayed busy, word spread. I hired another tech, then another. Melody called once a week. No money, no emergencies. Sometimes she sounded tired, sometimes she sounded embarrassed. But she kept calling. Trey never called. I saw him once across a parking lot. He saw me too. He turned away like I was the problem. I let him. 6 weeks into the new shop, I locked up on a Friday night and stood in the empty bay for a moment. Tools on the wall, clean floor, quiet hum of the lights. No one was calling me at 2 a.m. No one was demanding $9,000 right now. No one was using my name like a credit line. I walked out, pulled the door shut, and turned the key until it clicked. Then I got in my truck and drove away. And that was the ending. Not a hug, not a family dinner, not a second chance for people who didn't earn one. Just a locked door.